What's that?
That's a swear jar. Every time someone swears, you put a quarter in it.
Who gets the money?
I don't know. We'll use it to buy something for the office, like a case of Bud Light or something.
Fucking awesome. F you, Bob.
F you, Jim.
Eric, I have a bag on line 3 for you.
Can I borrow your pen? Can I borrow your f***ing pen?
Will the owner of a white station wagon please go yourself?
We're going to go down there, and we're going to some. We're going to some. We're going to do whatever we have to, because we're going to some.
Poop.
Doesn't count.
Shut the up!
I am so proud of you suckers. Here.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it.
Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, the man we call Yas, we love him. Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, what power he has. Our Boston team is always on the beam, cause we got Yas. We Fenway fans, we stomp and clap our hands, and Yas is jazz. Those rival pitchers on the mound all shake. They dread each windup that they have to take. When number 8 is standing at the plate, and then he swings. Whoa! There it goes again. Wow! There it goes again. Wow! There it goes again. A rival batter hits one off the wall. And there's Yastrzemski going for the ball. They try for 2, the runner knows he's through. Ah, look at Yaz! Whoa, he threw him out again. Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, the man they call Yaz. Carl Yastrzemski, Carl Yastrzemski, he's the idol of Boston, Mass. On Beacon Hill, he gives them quite a thrill. In Southie, too, there's lots of whoop-de-doo. In the North End, they call Carl friends, and they hope the season will never end. From Wellesley Way, they come to watch him play, and on Cape Cod, they take a holiday from all about. They come to shout, yell for Yaz to hit one out. The state of Maine is going quite insane, and in Vermont, it's only Yaz they want from every state. They come and wait to see Yastrzemski at home plate. Our Boston King, it's always on the beam, cause we got Yaz. We Fenway fans, we stomp and clap our hands, and Yaz is jazz. Although Yastrzemski is a lengthy name, it fits quite nicely in our Hall of Fame. We love him so. In Boston we all know that when he swings, yeah, here we go again.
Inside a can of Old Bay, a dock worker from Locust Point, a doctor from Sinai, a hairdresser from Patterson Park, and a firefighter from Glendon. There's a 4th grader from Friendship Academy, and a lacrosse star for Boys Latin, a Catholic priest, and an Orthodox rabbi, a grandma from Dundalk, and a drummer from Hamilton. What's inside a can of Old Bay? You are. Old Bay. For 75 years, it's been the can that connects us.
Drive to right field. This is deep, and this ball is gone. A home run for Yastrzemski. Bless him, I'll tell you. That's unbelievable. Davis to left and will hit. Oh my! It's gone! Santa Maria!
From high atop the Robinson Gearing Studio Complex and straight out of God's country, Pawleys Island, South Carolina, the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network proudly presents Backwards K Pod. And now, here's the host of the show, Jake Robinson.
I never move in slow-mo. Welcome to my dojo. There's other parts of so-so. Chill like bro, yo. Focus like a GoPro. Ripping up this promo. Check out the scoreboard. Freaks and throw a no-no. Going is going is going. Yo, it's gone. Your heart just stopped. Cause Jake got strong and mighty. Undefeated, I mean it. Pull up the pod, scroll it down, then read it. Written, produced, directed, and mixed. Dung on your lips and Ozzie Smith backflips. Pick a tip, any tip, get onto it. I got ridiculous pods without forcing it. You sit at home crying like a girl while I spread the gospel around the world. Yo, the pods are written behind tracks that mixed it smooth with the groove to make ears wanna listen. That little gut and a rhythm to back it up. Another show to my name, now I stack them up. You think another white rap act, but this ain't no act jack. My hobbies are rhymes, some people try to be black, but that about time I come out, call the show BKB and let me turn it out. Yo, name Jake the Snake, born in 71. Dates, you know what time it is, I'm packing them guns. Skill experience, I've been a witness to glory, and that's why I collect ball players and their stories. You heard? So, once again, back is the incredible, the pod animal, Jake the Snake Robinson from the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. I'm coming out of Pawleys Island, South Carolina. Half man, half podcast machine. Back in the Captain Kirk chair, shields down, photons up. Prepare to engage on this week's digital audio program that I call Backwards K-Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. What's cracking, Seaman's? What's juicy? Welcome back into the dojo this week for chapter 126 in our never-ending collection of ball players and their stories, and for the grassroots baseball pod spanning the globe, detailing close to 250 years of baseball history. Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the good reverend of the seams, Jake the Snake Robinson. I got your hook up. Holler if you hear me. And I am so amped up, ready for some baseball. The weather's been fantastic down here on the island. I don't know about where you're at, but here, baseball's in the air. And we are now within 2 weeks of the 2024 MLB season. So many twists and turns of a major league season ahead of us. The storylines, the surprise teams and players, both good and bad. The second guessing, the rookies, the baseball arguments to come. I still get the fever this time of year, and I hope I never lose it. It's good for the soul to unconditionally love something that you have zero control over. And it's also cleansing to my soul to know that I'm not the only nerd who feels this way, based on the passion for baseball exhibited by this audience and all the OGs who have been down since the genesis of this, and other passion projects I've developed in the past 8 years, as well as any of you newbies surfing the web, deciding to ride this Backwards Cape Pod barrel to the shore. Thank you so much. I am honored that you would take time out of your day to share these historical and biographical accounts of the players, characters, stadiums, moments, pop culture of the American pastime with me. And before we get to this week's topic, I will never charge you free for the baseball content here at BKP. This is a labor of love for the game. All I ask is that if you enjoy the program this week, please pound the subscribe or follow icons on whatever platform you're using to listen to me. Rate and review me as you see fit. Share with all your Seaman buddies. All these things help me to feed my felonious feline of a co-host, Gunner, and it ensures that I continue to have the opportunity to do the one thing that I love to do most in this world, and that is opine the seams with fine folks such as yourself. So, with all that being said, I'm ready to clear the platform here at Terrapin Station, load up our BKP time travel choo-choo with all you remaining stragglers. As I look to the west of Terrapin, I see our beautifully retro throwback jewel box crib with the lights cascading over the beautifully manicured field. Looks like a standing room only crowd tonight. Nothing like the smell of fresh cut grass and hot dogs. The BKP 9, they look ready to go. The pitcher has completed his warm-up tosses. The catcher has come down to second. Blue has called play ball. The infielders are now whipping that ball around the infield. Everyone wave goodbye to the crowd in the yard. Kiss and hug your loved ones goodbye. I'm calling all aboard. My boy Charlie Guns, the conductor of our anomalous diesel here, ready to tip the celestial scales, has programmed our time and destination this week for August 22nd, 1939, Southampton, and the Strong Island borough of New York, where this week we will bear witness to the baseball journey of the one and only Carl Yastrzemski. So, hurry, step right up, get in where you fit in. I invite all of you into my sandbox to make some sandcastles together today. Get in where you fit in, take off your shoes, kick up your feet, open your kimonos. Ladies, rip off your bras. Get yourself real comfortable for the trip this week, as we have more ground to cover than Clemente out in right field of Forbes. As Gunner picks up the necessary quantum speeds needed to create these time-bending wormholes to get us back to August 22nd, 1939, let's talk a little bit about Yaz, because, well, look, I found him to be a fascinating case study this week. And as a kid, I admired Yaz from afar, and as a fan of a rival team, I respected him. By then, he was in his late 30s, and he was still playing the sport at a high, legitimate all-star level, offensively and defensively. And my uncles would always tell me about how great he was as a young player. So I began to scour his baseball cards, marvel at his numbers like everybody else. And what I remember most about him was how beloved he was by the Red Sox Nation. There was a fierce bond between the fans of Fenway and their John Wayne-like vet. But what I didn't realize as an innocent disciple of the Seams in my youth was it wasn't always like that. Yastrzemski had his ups and downs with the Boston fans and media throughout his career, as the pressure to bring the Red Sox their first world championship since 1918 was overwhelming at times. And you're right, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Thankfully, the baseball gods made Yaz's shoulders strong enough to bear the weight. And not only did he have the pressure of bringing a title before the nation, he also had the unenviable task of replacing the irreplaceable Splendid Splinter, Ted Williams, out in left field at Fenway. And there would be 3,307 more big league games for Carl Yastrzemski after his debut on April 11th, 1961. There would be 3,418 more big league hits following his second inning single in that game. Now, of course, no one in the modest Fenway crowd of 10,277 had the foresight to see this future, but those few in attendance got their first glimpse at their heir apparent, and they would soon find out just how remarkable Yaz was in his own right. And Ted Williams is arguably one of the greatest players to ever do the damn thing. He is certainly in the conversation for the greatest player ever. And that's not just the opinions of a loudmouth seamhead on podcasts. It's a verifiable fact. When you look at all those numbers that he amassed. And Carl, saddled with the burden of replacing the icon, wearing his uniform number 8 right next to the Splinters number 9, he would carve out his own legacy career and eventually escape Ted's immense shadow cast by the big green monster of Fenway Park. And Yaz would go on to a line of stars in the baseball universe, winning 7 Gold Gloves, 18 All-Star selections, and a Triple Crown in a 23-year career, all with the city of Boston in his backdrop. And here we are, my fellow Seaheads. My boy Gunner bursting through this last interdimensional wormhole and straight into Bridgehampton, Long Island, on a 70-acre potato farm where we see a young Carl following his father around, dragging a baseball bat in the dirt behind him. The youngster was born a few years ago, August 22nd, 1939, in Southampton, New York, where the Yastrzemski family lived for a few years, but he would come of age right here on a potato farm in Long Island. His father, Carol, who would later have his name anglicized to Carl, and his brother Tommy inherited the 70-acre plot of land and continued to do what their family from Poland knew how to do best: grow potatoes. And the other thing his uncle and father knew how to do very well was play baseball. When Yaz was around 18 months old, his father bought him a tiny baseball bat, and the youngster could always be seen dragging that bat around as a security blanket or like a teddy bear. And his first memory of his exposure to the game was around 6 years old, when his dad is tossing tennis balls to him in the backyard every night after supper. And here he is, swatting them all over the yard for his proud papa. As he got older, the two would play make-believe mock baseball games between his two favorite teams in his youth, the Yankees and the Red Sox. And by all indications, Senior could ball out. Many believed his future was destined for the major leagues, as both the Dodgers and the Cardinals had expressed interest, but Senior was a principled man, with his eye on the future for his family during the dark economic times of the Great Depression. As talented as he wasn't willing to risk the livelihood of the farm and his family's survival for the chance to play Major League Baseball. So, he sacrificed his desires and worked the farm. And before Carl was born, Senior had actually formed a semi-pro team, the Bridgehampton White Eagles. He played shortstop, and he managed the team. And the whole Yastrzemski unit was pretty much the core of the team. You had Pops at short. Senior's 4 brothers were on the team, as well as 2 brother-in-laws and 3 cousins. And it was a Sunday team that played for years. When Yaz is 7, he becomes the bat boy for the club, in which he fondly recollects as his first job in baseball. And he begins to play for the same team at the age of 14, which, of course, is very young for a semi-pro ball player. By then, his dad in his 40s, he's still playing shortstop, he's still the fiercest hitter on the squad, he's still the tribal chief. His father played with drive and determination, but he identified his son's talent at a young age and passion for the game, and he lived vicariously through his son. He wanted his son to have every opportunity he missed out on to play the game at the highest level. He channeled all of his baseball ambitions, lost to forces beyond his control, and he sunk them all into junior. He played with drive and determination to set an example to his son and how it's done. And the reason the White Eagle Club lasted as long as it did was so that Senior could invest all of his baseball energies into his own son. He never gave in to Yaz. He competed hard, and he expected the same from his son. The very day that Yaz signs his first pro contract with Boston, the elder Yastrzemski would never play organized ball again in his life. And Junior recalls how much he loved playing with his old man. His father was a true-to-life superhero to him, and he always admired that competitive spirit and intensity. And as I collect research this week on Yaz, I couldn't help but find these unique parallels of the fathers who have invested so much into their sons to play this game. Mickey Mantle's dad, Pete Rose's dad, Chipper Jones's pops, Ohtani's dad. And I don't know what it is, but stories like that, they really pull on my heartstrings. But I digress. Senior has such influence over his son that Shaz's first year of minor league ball, his dad drives to Raleigh, North Carolina to visit his son and his teammates. And all the players are just starting out in their minor league career, but Yaz is hitting around .390 at the time. So the roommates go to play golf. They let Yastrzemski catch up with his pops. But when they return to the apartment from a day on the links, they are shocked to come home and see all of Carl's stuff gone. When Red Sox catching prospect Russ Gibson and former roommate asked Yaz what happened, Yaz responds cheaply that, "My father feels that living with you guys is a distraction, and he moved me into an apartment by myself." Yaz attracted a lot of attention playing ball on Long Island. His last couple of years in high school, he played semi-pro ball for Lake Wancama, a team based about 60 miles from his family farm, and his father played for the team as well. And it's around this time that Senior, always a fierce advocate and the staunchest supporter of his son, he begins to boost Yaz's profile as a hitter instead of a pitcher. Even though at minor league camp, he had a minor league trial camp with the Milwaukee Braves, he faced 9 batters and struck out all 9. He had a chance to sign on with an MLB team even before he completed high school. But Senior had his eyes set on a sizable bonus, and he was prepared to grab the bull by the horns in negotiations. He had no problem with turning away deals from teams that he felt were inadequate. While still in high school, the Yankees sent out scout Ray Garland to the Yastrzemski farm to discuss his possible future playing for the New York Yankees. And this is what you would call one of those hypothetical meetings, as no baseball team could sign Yaz to a major league contract until after he graduated high school. So during the meeting, the two sides began trading, again, hypothetical bonus numbers with one another. And Ray Garland writes down $60,000 on a sheet of paper. He's proud about it. He slides it across the table to Yaz's father. $60,000 in 1958, and has the purchasing power of around $650K in the 2024 economy. And Mr. Yastrzemski looks at Mr. Garland's offer, and he politely smiles, shakes his head, And he scrawls on the piece of paper, and he begins to slide his counteroffer across the dining room table. And as he's doing so, he's informing Mr. Garland that his son is not taking a penny below this counteroffer, and he's been accepted at Notre Dame, and he expects the Yankees to foot that college bill. Mr. Garland looks at the counter offered at $100,000, which is close to $1.7 million in 2024. His eyes become as wide as batting donuts, and he throws his pencil dramatically high in the air, shocked at the audacity. And as the pencil lands on the kitchen floor, he bellows, "Are you crazy? The Yankees will never match that price." Truth be told, the Yankees never got the chance to match that price, even though Bombers owner Dan Topping became involved. While Garland is trying to explain the Yankees' position in this rabbit ears hypothetical negotiation, Mr. Yastrzemski is fixated, staring at that pencil on his floor. He can vaguely hear Garland's protest above the sounds of his boiling blood in his body. And he looks up, and he cuts the Yankee scout short in his speech, and he looks at him and he says, "Are you crazy? Coming into my house throwing pencils? What's the matter with you? Get the hell out of here. And don't you ever come back. My son will never play for the Yankees." Red Sox scout Frank Bots Nicola. He had his eye on Yaz since his sophomore year in high school. And thankfully, he left a better impression on the Yastrzemski family, as he never once threw a pencil in the house during their conversations. But he also wasn't coming up with $100,000 offers either. And so, his father, who had a firm grasp of what his son's worth was, and as his chief advocate, he sends his son off to college. After fielding all the full scholarship offers from a number of colleges, Yaz chose to attend Notre Dame, where he played on a scholarship that was half basketball and half baseball. Yaz completed his freshman year without playing on the varsity team, but the offers to play baseball started to heat up, and he's now receiving offers over $100,000. The Reds, the Braves, the Red Sox, they were the final three teams to have a shot at his services. All three cities invited him to their stadiums to see his future possible home and sell him on the vision of him as a ball player for their team. And after visiting Crosley and Forbes Field, he could imagine himself destroying baseball in either of those yards. And when he visited Fenway, well, to put it mildly, he hated it. He could never imagine hitting the ball over the fence consistently in deep right center field. Those power alleys. And he says to his father, "The only home runs I'll ever hit here will be the ones I wrap around the pesky pole down there. I'm going to have to become a straight pull hitter to survive here." And his father says, "Nah, this park is going to be great for you. This is where you're going, Carl." And instead of arguing with his father, Yaz goes back to the hotel room and he cries himself to sleep. One thing about Yaz, he's a man of loyalty to his team and city, but most of all, loyal to his father. And for one of the few times in his baseball life, up until this point, he's thinking to himself that his father was maybe making a mistake in his advice to play for the Red Sox. The Red Sox did not make the largest offer, but the admiration of the local parish priest for owner Tom Yawkey, it counted a lot. And Sr. wanted his son playing on the East Coast and not too far from Long Island. So, in November of 1958, Yaz signs with Boston for a $108,000 bonus, as well as the agreement to cover the rest of his college education. When Red Sox GM Joe Cronin met Yaz for the first time, he looked at the 5'11", 160-pound Polish kid out of Long Island, and he couldn't help but blurt out, "You gave this kid how much?" Carl returns to South Bend to finish up the fall semester of classes after agreeing to the 6-figure deal in 1958. And his father increases his son's weekly allowance from $5 to $7.50 a week. Now, $7.50 in 1958, it's worth around $82 today in 2024. That's insane. The first of his many Red Sox spring training camp goes down in 1959, and he is assigned to the Raleigh Capitals in the Carolina Class B League. Initially, they had penciled him in as a shortstop, and then he was moved to second base. He was struggling at the gate, out of the gate in his first season, before manager Ken Deal told him to move up on the plate so he wasn't lunging at the ball in the outer half of the dish. And after the words of wisdom, he goes on a tear. He hits near 400 for the rest of the season. Upon completion of the 1959 campaign in Raleigh, he is invited to come into Fenway and get a taste of the majors in a non-roster capacity. And Ted Williams, who was always had his ear to the ground when it came to good young hitters, he greeted Yaz by saying, "Don't ever let them screw with your swing, young man." Yaz then went to Minneapolis to play for the Millers as they entered the American Association playoffs. The first time he faces AAA pitching, Carl goes 7 for 18 in the first 6 games, in the 6 games it took to secure the championship. He then traveled to Cuba to play the Havana Sugar Kings for the International League Championship. Fidel Castro shows up at the ballpark, arriving by helicopter, landing out near second base. The Sugar Kings won the title in the 7th game of the series, and it was the last time that an American pro team would play in Cuba until 1999, when the Baltimore Orioles played an exhibition game there. In January of 1960, Yaz marries Carol Casper. In February, they head out to Scottsdale, Arizona, so Carl can train with the big club. And Carl was lockered next to Splinter, who rarely ever spoke to him. Yaz made note of how hard Teddy Ballgame worked in his preparations. At this time, the Sox had Pete Runnels at second base, who wins the batting title in 1960. So they send Carl back to the minors for one more year of seasoning, and with the express purpose of learning how to play left field. There are expectations throughout the organization that Williams is going to retire after the 1960 season, and the Red Sox intend to use Yaz as the transition player out left when the Splinter hangs it up for good. Carl bats .339 for the Millers, just missing out on the league batting title by 3 points, and he displays his future at his new position with 18 assists out in left field. Mr. Williams does, in fact, retire at the end of the year, and both the baton and the burden of replacing Splinter was passed on to Carl Michael Yastrzemski, opening day, April 11th, 1961, at Fenway Park, playing left field and batting 6th. And replacing Williams at left was a Herculean task for any player, let alone a 21-year-old kid with but 2 seasons of professional ball under his belt. The Splinter, as we all know, was larger than life on the field, as well as throughout the baseball universe, much less at the base of the big Green Monster of Fenway. He goes 1 for 5 in his debut. His first and second homers came in back-to-back games, May 9th and May 10th. But all in all, he struggled at the gate. And Yaz has often said he was putting way too much pressure on himself. He was trying to emulate Teddy ball games and hit every pitch over the fence instead of just being himself and staying within himself. With Yaz mired in a slump, they dragged Teddy from a fishing hole somewhere to hang out with the rookie left fielder and offer up some advice. And he notices, Carl is a little hard-headed. And he's really not going to do what I tell him to do a lot of times. But what he does tell Yaz is, look, you got a great swing. It's not a natural home run swing, but there is fluidity there. Stay within yourself and your swing. And Carl was grateful for those words. He salvages his rookie campaign, finishes with a respectable .266 average, 11 home runs, 80 rib sandwiches. There is no sophomore slump, as Yaz boosted his production, batting .296 with 19 dongs, 43 doubles, 94 RBI in 1962. His third year, he makes the All-Star team for the very first time, and he won the AL batting title with a .321 clip. He led the league in hits, doubles, walks, and OBP, all the while honing and improving his defensive game that will eventually be remembered as one of the all-time greats. There is more the same in 1965 and 66 as the All-Star appearances begin to build. In 1965, Yaz hits for the cycle on May 14th. Later that year, he faced a 59-year-old Satchel Paige at Kansas City's Municipal Stadium versus the A's. And he was the only Red Sox player to get a hit off the aging icon that day. In 3 innings of work, he had a ground rule double. And that hit was special for Yaz, as he remembered cheering his father on in 1950 at the Riverhead Falcons Stadium in Suffolk County, New York, as he collected a hit off of the then Philadelphia Stars hurler. By the time the 1967 All-Star game rolls around, Yaz is top 5 in the junior circuit in average, home runs, RBIs. The Red Sox, they're 6 games out of first at the midsummer break, and it's becoming clear they are an elite American League team that has a great shot at the pennant. The 1967 Red Sox gripped the emotions of the New England region, left their fans spellbound as they battle for first place in one of the most exciting pennant races in AL history. Their thrilling win over the Minnesota Twins in Game 162, it touched off one of the greatest celebrations ever had along the Charles River in Boston sports history. While, it was like a different hero seemingly emerged every night during that season, but it was Yaz who was the constant. First baseman George Scott remembers that Yaz hit 47 home runs that year, and 43 of them had huge significance on the success of the team that year. Every time the team needed that spark, Yaz was the fuse. In the final 12 games of the season, every game is must-win. Yaz had 23 hits and 44 at-bats, driving in 16, scoring 14 runs. He hit 10 home runs in his final 100 bats. He had 10 hits in his last 13 at-bats. In the last 2 games versus Minnesota, he goes 7 for 8 and he drives in 6. And he wasn't chopped liver in the postseason either. He bats .400, 10 for 25, with 3 home runs, 5 RBI in the World Series against St. Louis. But the story-making ending comes to a close when the Cards beat out Boston in the World Series in 7 games. A series that we have covered in great deal in our Bob Gibson bio, as well as the history of Fenway Park, available in that banging-ass BKP catalog. Yaz's place in baseball folklore was indelibly etched that season as he became 1 vote shy of winning the AL MVP unanimously. He was selected as Sportsman of the Year by Sports Illustrated. And oh yeah, he achieved that Triple Crown thing with his .326 average, 44 home runs, 121 RBI, and he was the last player to do so before Miguel Cabrera 45 years later in 2012. He also led the league in hits with 189, runs 112, total bases 360, OBP, OPS at 1.040. The only person to not vote for Yaz in the MVP race inexplicably cast his first place vote to Cesar Tovar of the Twins, who batted .267 with 6 home runs and 47 RBI. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And with that, let's stick a pin in the Carl Yastrzemski bio right here. I'm going to step off for a second, gather my thoughts, hydrate, wet my whistle, set the course of my head on Acts 2 and 3 of the Yaz story. Hook up my boy Gunner with treats for a great first segment. Oh, rip a couple of the tubes. BRB, you freaks. Don't go anywhere. See you on the dark side of the moon.
And I'm laying bothered what you think of me. 'Cause all I want of you is just to let me be. I don't care anymore. Johnny, I don't care.
This game is for you, the fan. You want the action to flow, the bat on the ball and carrying on the base paths. This is the game we all want to see. Get the ball, pitch the ball. Keep the defense on their toes. Field like Ozzy, run like Ricky. So get that shift out of here. Free up the players to put on a show. It's the best game in the world. Now it's even better.
He makes his definite stop. And Concepcion loops one to left field. Yastrzemski coming on and makes it. Carl Yastrzemski, 36 years old, coming on and covering left field. As he says, he plays it in his sleep.
Here's Kyle. We mentioned earlier he has the ability to play a very shallow left field in this park. Unlike Foster, who will play deep to play the long. Kurt?
Here's another angle. He used to be a shortstop in the minor leagues. He can really charge a ball. Great body control. Year after year, he used to lead the American League in assists. He does it all out there.
Howdy, y'all. This is Big Tex Gage Geener, executive producer of Backwards K-Pod. In Texas, we do everything big. After football and golf, there's probably nothing I love more than going fishing and enjoying a good crawfish boil. The only thing I dislike about going fishing is the lingering odor it can leave on your hands afterwards. Well, the Fish and Hand Cleaner is an all-natural liquid soap perfect for overpowering fish and bait odors from your hands. I can't tell you how many times I've eaten steamed crabs, lobster, shrimp, crawfish, and then washed my hands with regular soap, only to touch my eyes half hour later, and my face begins to melt off due to the damn Cajun Old Bay spices. Well, we also have a hand cleaner specifically formulated to use after eating shellfish and other seafoods. Perfect for cleaning spicy, smelly hands after a Texas-sized seafood feast. In these cases, don't settle for anything less than our crawfish hand cleaner, our crab hand cleaner, or the fish and hand cleaner. an ingenious trifecta of natural hand soaps developed and owned by a disabled Navy veteran. He and Jake have a true connection, as they were boot camp shipmates all the way back in 1989. So he is family, folks, and one thing we do here at the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network is look out for family. So you can support two grassroots companies by two former shipmate Navy vets. Crushing big bowls of shellfish or fishing on the banks of your favorite river while you listen to BKP. Sounds like a great day. You know, in fact, hey Mom, where are my poles? I'm gone fishing. There's also a buffalo wing hand cleaner in development as we speak. To check all of the incredible products of this great company, you can go to www.crawfishhandcleaner.com or call the home offices at 713-588-0290. That's 713-588-0290 to support the grassroots company that supports your grassroots podcast show. That's crawfishhandcleaner.com or 713-588-0290 to prepare for your summertime shellfish feast or that fishing trip you're planning. crawfishhandcleaner.com.
To have played my whole career for one team and in one city, Boston, doesn't happen for many Major League ball players. The debt of gratitude which I owe him and his dear wife Jean, who has honored me by being here today, can never be repaid. Mrs. Jean Yorkie. And to you sports writers who always treated me fairly and with understanding, you too are part of the support system. I thank you for electing me to the Hall of Fame. If these are the reasons for my being here in Cooperstown, it's only fair to ask why. Not blessed with the great God-given talent, like superb physical strength, I had to work twice as hard and twice as long as many of my peers. As the late Green Rice said, and when the one great scorer comes to write against your name, he marks. Not that you've won or lost, but how you played the game. I can stand before you today and tell you honestly that every day I put on that Red Sox uniform, I gave 100% of myself for my own. I treated it with dignity and respect and deference to our fans, a high regard for my teammates, coaches, and management. Anything less would not have been worthy of me. Anything more would not have been possible of me. And if there's any message I can leave on this great day of tradition and honor, let it be this: that the race doesn't always belong to the swift, nor the battle to the strong. It belongs rather to those who run the race, who stay the course, and who fought the good fight. To those members before me, may you always wear the mantle of your membership with pride. To those of you who are to come after me, may you too enjoy the spirit of tradition and accomplishment that is ours today. You should, for you, like every baseball player who ever wore the uniform, are the game. That's why I'm so proud today to have played a role, however small, in a game which is America's pastime, and a game which has been a big part of my life. Thank you very much.
bitch, rebel, rebel, party, party, sex, 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 and don't forget the violence, blah, blah, blah. Got your lovey-dovey, send-lovey, stick your stupid slogan, and everybody sing along. Rebel, rebel, bitch, bitch, rebel, rebel, party, party, sex, 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 and don't forget the violence, blah, blah, blah. Got your lovey-dovey, send-lovey, stick your stupid slogan, and everybody sing, are you motherfuckers ready? For the new shit, stand up and admit, come on, never coming. This is the new shit, stand up and admit. Do we get it? No. Do we want it? Yeah. This is the new shit, stand up and admit.
All right, nerds. We're coming out of this amazing 1967 season when Carl Yastrzemski wins the Triple Crown. He almost wins the AL MVP award unanimously. Somebody voted for Caesar Tovar. What? Caesar Tovar. Get out of here. And his Red Sox are barely eked out by the St. Louis Cardinals in 7 games in the 1967 World Series. In 1968, Yaz wins his 3rd batting title with a .301 average. During the infamous year of the pitcher, Carl was the only player in the American League to crack .300 average. He's 11 points ahead of runner-up Danny Carter, and there were only 4 players in the league to hit .285 or above, and Yaz and Carter were 2 of them. Between 1965 and 1979, Yaz was named to 15 consecutive All-Star teams in the 1970 All-Star Game held at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. He collects 4 hits, he scores a run, knocks in a run, and he earns game MVP honors, even though the junior circuit lost to the National League in 12 innings. He and the Splinter are the only 2 players in baseball history with 4 hits in a Midsummer Classic. And while some will say Yaz never approached his career year of 1967, in 1970, he led the league in runs, OBP, total bases, and slug, and he was .0004 off the lead for a league batting title. Couple that with 23 stolen bags, and that would have been a career year for almost any other player. Except maybe Ronald Acuna. What a freak. In fact, those 23 bags made him only the 2nd player in Red Sox history to steal more than 20 bases and drop dong at least 20 times in a season. Former All-Star outfielder Jackie Jensen was the first in 1954, and only 5 Red Sox players have achieved the combination since. In February of 1971, Yaz signs a 3-year deal, $1.5 million. The largest contract in baseball history at the time, $1.5 million in 1971, is worth roughly $11.5 million today in the 2024 economy. 1972 was a frustrating season that started late due to struggles between players and owners. When the season finally begins, the teams agree to simply play out the schedule with no worry about whether one team played more games than the other. And as fate would have it, the Sox into the final 3 games of the year, playing the Tigers in Detroit. And there is no chance of a playoff tie. The Tigers have a record of 84-69 going into the October 2nd game. The Sox are marginally better with an 84-68 record. And whichever team wins 2 of the 3 games will win the pennant. The Tigers take a 1-0 lead in the first, but a Yastrzemski double in the third, it ties the game up. And the Red Sox would have scored at least 1 more run as Yaz was safe on third with a triple before Louis Aparicio slips and stumbles, rounding third. And after getting up and retreating back to third, he meets up with the oncoming Yaz, who by rule was called out. And this was a pivotal play and Boston would lose the game and the pennant by a half game. Yaz had a subpar season in 1975. He's batting just .269 with 14 home runs and 60 RBI. But his play in the post, it reminded fans why he was amongst the most clutch in the game during his era. His stellar bat and glove, it carries over into the ALCS against the Oakland A's. He goes 5 for 11 with a dong and 2 ribs to propel the Red Sox to the World Series versus the Big Red Machine Cincinnati Reds. And even though history tells us the Red Sox came up short in the exhilarating series, Yaz scored 11 runs and batted .350 in 10 postseason games. From 1976 to 1983, Carl makes the AL All-Star team 6 times. On July 14th, 1977, he records hit number 2,655 to move past Ted Williams for the most in Red Sox history. On June 16th, he bangs out his 1,000th extra base hit. On July 24th, 1979, Carl Yastrzemski hits the 400th home run of his vaunted career.
We're following him in his quest for home run number 400. Long drive, right field, way back, near the wall, and there it is! Home run number 400, Carl Yastrzemski. Now, listen and watch. Number 400 has been hit by Carl Yastrzemski, and watch him. Up everywhere at Fenway Park. They're going to call for him again. They want a curtain call for Carl Yastrzemski. Oh, and there he is.
On September 12th,
Then they travel.
He becomes the first American leaguer to accumulate 400 home runs with 3,000 RBIs when he laces a singing eye single into right field off of Yankees pitcher Jim Beattie.
There goes the ground ball. Base hit! Number 3,000. Yastrzemski's got it. And all hell breaks loose at Fenway Park. You're watching it. We're not going to play baseball for a while. They've got microphones, cameras. The long, long trail is ended.
On October 1st, 1983, the next to last game of the season, 33,491 of the Fenway faithful, they gathered at the park one last time to pay tribute to their loyal soldier. The pre-game ceremony ran about an hour, and when it came time for Yaz to speak, the cool, calm, collected vet, he seemingly never flinched in the most pressure-cooked moments of his career. He broke down and he cried. And once he regained composure, he asked for a moment of silence for his mother, who had recently died, and performer owner Tom Yawkey, who gave the farmer's son out of Suffolk County his first big league chance. After thanking his family and everyone connected with the Sox, he finished with the words, "New England, I love you." A few months after his retirement, his son Carl Jr. was drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 3rd round of the 1984 draft. Known as Mike, his son played 5 years of minor league baseball, making it all the way to AAA a few times, but never to the majors. He came back to Massachusetts to work, but he died of a heart attack in September of 2004 at the age of 43. Mike's son, Mike, was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in 2013, and he now currently plays for the San Francisco Giants. In January of 1989, in his first year of eligibility, Carl Yastrzemski was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York, voted in by the Baseball Writers of America on 423 of 447 ballots, among the most votes ever awarded to someone. On August 6, 1989, the Red Sox retire his number 8 for posterity, and it still hangs today overlooking Fenway's outfield. The careers of Teddy Ballgame and Yaz are linked together forever, as is Yaz and Jim Rice, whom I will be covering down the road, leaving the Red Sox Nation with 3 consecutive Hall of Fame left fielders over a span of nearly 60 successive seasons. In 1999, Yaz and Splinter are introduced as 2 of the greatest ball players in the 20th century, and the foundation of the ancient Fenway Park, it rumbles as their names are called out. At the 2005 Red Sox home opener, Yaz and Johnny Pesky are grateful to raise the Red Sox 2004 World Championship banner that flew over Fenway throughout that season. And former catching great Elston Howard, who competed against and with Yaz as a teammate and rival alike, he once said, "It doesn't matter how you attack Yaz. Nothing works. The only thing you can do against him is pitch him tight and pray." From 1939 to 1989, 50 years, freaks, I can't stress this enough. The Red Sox had 3 primary left field Hall of Famers in Splinter, Yaz, and Rice. And while it may be hard to imagine Yaz cracking that left field holy trinity of Barry Bonds, Rickey Henderson, and the Splinter, Yastrzemski is flat out definitive number 4. And if you factor in his defensive metrics, he's probably better than them all around. And that is a testament to his greatness. A premium Triple Crown hitter and a top shelf liquor defender in front of the monster. And let's not forget, another superstar who saw the low-scoring pitching dominant 60s cut into his prime seasons. Not bad for a kid who cried himself to sleep, horrified at the prospect of playing in Fenway Park. And folks, I think that's about where I'm going to wrap this puppy up on the Carl Yastrzemski bio this week. There's plenty of stuff out there to learn more about this baseball giant, so fire up the old Google machine and dive headfirst into that rabbit hole. See what you come up with yourself. I really enjoyed putting in the work this week with Yaz. He is truly a baseball treasure, and I'm very proud to have his story in my collection for posterity. I only hope you enjoyed listening as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. And I promise, Seamheads, I'll try to be better next week. But before I go all Young MC and bust a mo, let's take one last look at those oh so lovely Carl Yastrzemski numbers he left behind on his incredible Hall of Fame resume. Let's see, what do we got here? Number 8 in your program, number 1 in your heart, Carl Yastrzemski, a.k.a. Captain Carl, a.k.a. Yaz. Born August 22nd, 1939, which was coincidentally Ted Williams' rookie year. Went to high school at Bridgehampton High in Bridgehampton, New York. Attended Notre Dame University in South Bend, Indiana. On April 11th, 1961, he becomes the 11,804th player to join the MLB fraternity when he makes his debut versus the Kansas City Athletics, and he goes 1 for 5. 23-year baseball career, all with the Boston Red Sox from 1961 to 1983. 18-time All-Star, 1970 All-Star MVP, 1967 AL MVP, 1967 Triple Crown winner, 3-time AL batting champion, 1963, 1967, and 68, 7 Gold Glove Awards. 96.5 WAR, the 33rd highest wins above replacement in the history of the game. 3,308 games, second most ever played, and the most games ever played by a player for one team. 13,992 plate appearances, second most ever. 1,816 runs, 19th most in baseball. 3,419 hits, the 9th most in the game between Honus Wagner at 8 and Albert Pujols at 10. 646 doubles, the 9th most ever. 59 triples, 452 home runs, 1,845 RBI, 15th most ever. 168 stolen bases, 160 times caught. 1,848 walks, 1,395 strikeouts. In a 162-game average, he struck out on 68 times, and he walked 90 times. And they don't make ball players like that anymore. 6th most walks ever. 285, 379, 462 slash. 841 OPS, 130 OPS plus. 5,539 total bases. And you OGs know I'm a sucker for total bases. Yaz has the 10th most in baseball history. If you're in the top 10 in total bases in my book, you're a fucking beast. In 1989, Jim Rice's last year, coincidentally, Yaz received 94.6 of the vote by the baseball writers of America to earn his rightful inclusion into the Baseball Hall of Fame. What a freak. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, seamen of all ages, this is the story of Yaz. Call Yastrzemski. And man, that felt really good coming off the bat. I really enjoyed that. I hope you did as well. I'm so glad and proud to have Yaz in my collection, and I'm grateful that you took time out of your day to share it with me. I see my boy Charlie Guns tapping his left paw. That's a signal to me that he's ready to get you freaks back to Terrapin Station, where your loved ones have been patiently waiting for the last 2 minutes while we spent a lifetime with Yaz. And I done told you, I will never charge you for the baseball content here at BKP. I'm just going to keep coming through every week with that free baseball smoke.
You don't want that smoke.
And I'm going to keep it consistent like Jose Ramirez, y'all. Please share with your seamhead buddies. Rate, review me as you see fit. I ain't scared. I do what I do when I do it, and nobody does it better. And with the Yaz bio getting smaller and smaller in the rear view, as Gunner gets us back to 2024, I turn my attention to our never say die baseball hydra. I reach under my kimono for my katana, and I chop the head off that beast, only to see 2 more topics appear in their place. Next week, we're going to talk some Brewers baseball. Man, some Blue Jays and Twins. Next week, I'm going to get after it with some Paul Mahler. Put his story to collection, but you already know. That's another story for another pod here at Backwards K-Pod, where we collect ball players and their stories. Check me out on TikTok and YouTube, yo. That's on the Backwards K-Pod channels. I'm on X at back_K_podcast. Or answer the question so I know you're not a Russian bot. And come on into the Facebook private group page, the Let's Talk Baseball Podcast Network. Vinny Bassi. I came, I saw, I kicked this show's ass, kid. Thank y'all for coming out. God bless. And win the day. And like my boy Shea Hillenbrand told me in our one-on-one sparring session in the dojo, which you can find in the archives, you go to hell, Andy Pettit. Me and my boy Charlie Guns, we're throwing up our Gunnar Hendersons, y'all. That's our number 2s, good brothers and sisters. As in, peace. I love you, Grace. I'll see you next week with Paul Molitor. I'm out in 5Gs, kid.